Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary pals, all my friends, you're welcome here at the Sweet Spot. Today we have a very special guest, Erza, Menagerie, Tinker, the EMT, here with me. It'll be a fun interview. How you doing?
Good. I love that opening music.
Yeah. I found a little YouTube page that has like all these really cool like wrestling themes done like an 80s synthwave.
Yeah.
I
Exactly
figured
what it
that's
was.
cool.
I was living for it.
Yeah, it kind of goes with the theme, I think.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good indeed.
So, I mean, I guess we'll start with the easy questions first, and everybody gets asked this question, it's kind of, but for the people that I hear that it annoys some wrestlers, but for the people that it annoys, they need to understand that there's a lot of people on this number because we're a sports network first, football, soccer, all that crap. Wrestling comes last. They don't know all this stuff, Yeah. Why did you find wrestling? How did you find wrestling? Was it a childhood dream? Is it something you've always wanted to do? Is it something you found later in life? How'd you get here?
It was later in life, actually. The only experience I had with pro wrestling before that, when I was young enough to where Diddy Kong Racing had just come out on the N64, and amidst playing that, the Undertaker versus Mankind match there, Hell in a Cell match, was on, and like our family friends that we would always go to their house on Sundays, they were watching it, and so I watched, this human being get thrown from the top of a cell and threw it onto tacks, and there's just blood, and that's what I thought wrestling was. And I had always heard people reference it as kind of like a dancing. It's just fake. When I got to theater in high school, I started to notice that there's an athletic acumen that's required in performers that I kind of didn't expect. When I was in college, my partner at the time grew up with pro wrestling, and it was something that I one day was just like, let's watch wrestling, and it was downhill from there because I became obsessed with it for the theatricality and the like competitive athletic mindset was so far not me that I still struggle with that in pro wrestling, because I just want to collaborate and have the best wrestling, the best enjoyable performance and shows for the audience, rather than trying to be the best wrestler. I just want to have the best shows, most memorable.
Crazy enough, that's the path usually to like the top of the card anyway. So if you're doing that, you're gonna end up at the top. I mean, the people that start focusing on themselves too much, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them that do find success in that, but
true.
The real successful ones are the ones that are team players. The ones that they could hate someone across the ring from them. They absolutely like, I despise this person, but they go out and still have this 10-star match. Like,
yep, absolutely, safely. Yeah.
Yeah, very safely. Did you do any like dance? You said theater kid, but did you do any like dance or anything? Because your entrances, or gymnastics, your entrances are always full of like all the little like pirouettes and like the flips and stuff.
So before I had taken, so I have like basically two bachelors, a BA and a BFA. So it's kind of like I've spent enough time to consider myself having a master's without the actual piece of paper. But I have the two pieces of paper for musical theater performance, where I learned all kinds of different dance, including like tap music, which is
That's cool.
strangely the most like related to. It's like so about controlling your body and your foot placement that it's.
Yeah.
I think about it a lot when I'm training in wrestling still, but it was probably like 2019 as I was working into kind of discovering that wrestling wasn't something that was out of reach for me, with AEW coming into the scheme of things, and they have performers of all kinds and varieties, as well
Yeah.
as allies in the LGBTQ community. And it just kind of gave me some hope. There was that like movement in WWE for like the women's revolution that was like inspiring as well, but
Yeah.
it still felt a little like distant from like the actual progress of commonplace societal norms and stuff. I mean, there's money to be made in
Oh,
that as
totally.
well, and you know, more power to them. But I also like
Mhm.
that there's just variety now. And
Yeah, totally.
before I could
Especially on the
actually,
independent scenes, we have
yeah,
so much.
so much.
It's
Oh my
such
god,
open-minded. Everyone's, the locker rooms are always open to anyone coming in. There's no shut doors. There's no like you can't be here's. At
yeah,
least throughout Colorado, from what I've seen,
yep.
in Indianapolis, everyone's pretty warm and welcoming too. But my home base here in Colorado, you as well. Everyone's warm and welcoming. We're really a tight knit little family. Like
Yeah,
everyone takes care of each other and
it's so
we don't
true.
let the bullshit seep through and
And it try,
yeah,
it's still there, but everyone does a good job of addressing
mhm,
it, and kind of like
yeah,
you hash out shit with your family rather than
yes, exactly.
let spite and shit like that kind of muck up the waters.
Yeah, we got a comment. I don't know exactly who it is. If you're still in the chat, go ahead and leave your name below. Erza is absolutely the undisputed future of the business. One of the kindest souls I've ever been around. The level of talent Erza possesses is absolutely mind-boggling. Agreed. You're definitely the match that you and Joan put on was amazing. That was something that it took more than just like athletic ability or just knowing how to do moves. You guys moved the crowd, if that makes sense. You guys were able to
Yeah,
captivate the audience there, and everyone. I mean, by the end, when Joan retires, the crowd, everyone, Big Guns is on the stage crying. I
yeah,
shoot. I'm, gotcha guns,
yeah,
but shoot crying up there like, damn, I'm watching one of my best friends, like, they're gone now and the
yeah.
future's right in front of him. And he's like, God damn, this person is so amazing. Erza is one of the top talents. It's really cool to watch. You and Silencio was really good too. I think they have a good future ahead of them as long as they stay
Absolutely.
hard for the course,
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. There's so much
What?
like natural talent in
Oh my gosh.
these young whippersnappers. Like I'm 32, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Okay. Oh, you're so old. All right. Yeah,
I
got you.
know, but it is interesting that their Darby Allin's friend, I forget his name, but he's like just turned 18, and he's starting to have matches on AEW. And
Mm,
a lot of wrestlers have that story of it's been a part of their lives since the beginning. They've always seen themselves in this business. And I have a lot of things to catch up on. There's
yeah.
always history for me to learn, not just
Totally.
about WWE and the main stage, but the indie scene as well. Like, because it's been
Yeah.
around for years and years. I just learned the term yarder the other day. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah. It's it's weird because even with that, like, you know, backyard and all that stuff, you have a lot of
Yeah.
people that come from that experience
Yeah.
and go on to be really, really good wrestlers. I'm not going to like out anybody that I know because I don't know if they want it out there, but there's individuals that I know that are on like the top level and they
Yeah.
started in their backyard. And like, there's like with you have things that a lot of the other wrestlers around you don't have. You know, you have that training in the theatrical side of things. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I think made Brokeback Billy so good.
Yeah.
He has that theater kid background. Eric Angel too, an
Yeah.
amazing talent who has theater background.
Mhm.
And when you have that, your promos are unmatched. You're able to find a character really easy. You can get into that mindset. It's something you've trained yourself since you were little, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Theater was probably a part of your life for when did you start theater? High school?
High school. I was I was a very sick child up until around like middle school, and I didn't make friends very well until high school came around. I signed up for auto tech, but it was full, so they put me in theater, and I was trying to just be a cut and paste version of my older brother at the time, and it really opened my eyes into starting to look inward and discover myself. And it was downhill from there. I was Cinderella, and I was an ugly stepsister in Cinderella as like my first big role. And how funny it is being a transgender individual that there's so many moments in my life from the past that, yeah, living so long not as myself, I always feel like every day it has such value, I guess. And
oh yeah, totally.
yeah, achieving dreams like in the pro wrestling world, it does feel larger than life. It really does.
Completely. It's gosh, and it's a silly comparison as far as living larger than life, but you know, putting on that stupid face paint that I did for the last show, I was able to be more silly than like I was normally as like myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I put on this like it was cool. You know, so like I understand the ability to like go beyond yourself and be like, wow, this is cool shit. So like, don't let Joe McDougal say that it was fun being that. Hear that I said it was fun being a juggler. Anyway,
it's safe with me.
We got another comment here. Erza is the definition of wrestling prodigy, a true student of the game. I've never seen someone train as much as Erza. That feels like a Joe McDougal comment. That feels like a Joe McDougal comment. He's probably watching right now.
Right.
Yeah. What was growing up? You never watched like wrestling, but I mean, you said you were sick. I mean, you're in amazing shape. How did like incredible shape? You're in one of the better like athletes on the roster. You're always in the ring doing like highly athletic maneuvers, you know, all the flips and shit, like all that's like takes a lot of talent. Where did that come from if you were a sick child?
I really don't know. I had like no athletic acumen. My parents would like swap me from sport to sport to sport because I would play with the butterflies. I just wouldn't pay attention. I didn't care about the sport, whatever it was. I liked ice hockey because I love skating, and that's why I love my Heelys. Because
that's like okay. I was gonna get into that here in a little bit, but continue.
Yeah, like I was little, and I was bad with people, and the one thing I did kind of good was rollerblading, and my dad would take us all to the skate park when he would like come and visit on his weekends, and I wasn't very good at anything. I wasn't doing tricks or anything, but then one day I just did a backflip, and suddenly I could do like gymnastic-y things, and it was kind of the first little seed that would grow to be what I am now. Parkour, though, is what helped me. The quarantine pandemic times happen, and it's like, oh no,
Oh no.
You can't really go to the gym, but this weird place was still open called Sky Zone. It's a trampoline park for like kids and birthday parties for kids. Or it's like $20 and you can use it as a gym and go every day of the week for 2 hours. And so I did that. And I learned how to like fall off of the climbing wall into the foam pit and then do a flip off and just taught myself things and watched YouTube videos.
It's funny because Max Holloway, former UFC, I think featherweight champ, lightweight champ, I don't know, champion UFC. Max Holloway learned all of his tactics and maneuvers by playing the video games, and then just implemented that into training. And then next thing you know, champion. It's crazy to hear that, because you'd think you would have like a gymnastics background with. There's something, you know, like fuck you, like the way that you're able to do the moves that you can. Honest to God, you'd think that you'd have gymnastics from childhood, but that's crazy that that's not the case.
Right? I have no idea why. I'm just built different. I don't know why.
Amen. Yo, real shit. Where did you come up with the idea to like start rocking the Heelys? Like, where was that? Like, when did those like have that been a thing you're like for since high school, or is that something you were like, I want to do this with wrestling? That'd be cool here.
It was I had them in high school. I used to wear them back when they had soaps as well. It was like the grind.
Oh yeah, soap shoes. Yes. Those were the shit. Yeah.
You carry around like a candle so you could get the curb all nice and waxed up. Great times.
Oh yeah.
I was going through divorce and I was celebrating my birthday. And I was finally trying to think of something I wanted. And aggressive inline roller skates were too expensive, so I went with Heelys. And it's the same Heelys I bought like 6 or 7 years ago. They've been through a lot.
Wow. Yeah, obviously that's crazy to think that. Have you had to replace the wheels or anything, or just all the same gear?
I probably should. I hit them with some WD-40 every now and again, but that's about it.
Well, you grew up rollerblading, so it sounds like you know how to take care of bearings and shit. You sounds like you're good.
Exactly. And I mean, it's just an interesting way to get around. People they need to give yourselves more credit. More Heelys should happen.
Oh yeah. I think at one of the recent Roxy shows, one of the kids, or it might have even been Jackson, was like, how is Erza just like floating over there? Because you were just like going down the aisle,
Yeah.
Floating. Yeah, and they were like completely confused by like, what the fuck? How are they doing that? How did you come up with the name Erza Menagerie Tinker? Like, where's the EMT? Where did that spawn from?
During transition, you get that opportunity to kind of envision who you are as yourself. And I'll always be a tinker, as it's my like family lineage.
Oh, okay.
So that's my original, actually given last name was Tinker.
That's cool.
And I would go by that instead of my first name since like middle school. I was always Tinker, instead of my first original dead name is Justin. So
okay, all right.
Yeah. Erza was going to be the name of, if my ex and I were to have kids, if we had a daughter, her name would be Erza. I heard it from an anime named Fairy Tale, and I just really love the name because I just never heard it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And Menagerie is kind of an homage to my mental health and how I kind of feel imprisoned in my existence. And a menagerie is like a fancy word for a zoo. So it's like, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's
we live
actually
in a
pretty
zoo.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fancy word for a zoo. That could be on a bumper sticker. That could even be a t-shirt. A fancy word for a zoo, menagerie. That'd actually be pretty good. So now that you've found wrestling, now that you're here, now that it's something that's heavily involved in your life, who are some of the inspirations on the scene? You know, some people that you, when you started, you know, really getting into it, or the people that you connected with heavily, and you know,
Yeah.
what sort of inspirations for you?
Rey Mysterio was cool.
Yeah.
As it was nice to see someone who was my height. Nyla Rose was great because as a fellow transgender individual,
Yeah.
seeing opportunity to have that level of dream as accomplishable was great. I was super nervous when I started here in Colorado. I had just gone through divorce and had came out of like homelessness and was finally getting my things together. And I started as a referee because I didn't think I could ever be an actual wrestler. I
With
had
Primo's here?
no. I started at Rocky Mountain Pro last August.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was
Okay,
with
all right.
them
We'll dive
for
into that too a little bit. Yeah, continue.
yeah. I was with them from August to November, and I had a really great experience with them. They did a great job, though it was very rigorous and not the most emotionally forgiving. It did teach me self-discipline and to be able to appreciate the things I put my time and energy into, because I can improve. And I had never really experienced that sort of validation in life. And yeah, I enjoyed it until I couldn't afford it anymore. And I took some time away just because I didn't know where else to go. I hadn't heard of Primos until a friend at the time. She was a former wrestler here, Reagan Grimes. She introduced me to Joey and went there and went to a training. And after that, I was obsessed. She would go on to step away from wrestling, and it was such. I'm very grateful to be able to have had the experience that I've had, because I can't imagine being where I'm at now without everything that has transpired, both ups and downs. Because for all the ups, especially in this business, the downs are what you really have to learn to appreciate, essentially, so that you can overcome them.
They're the biggest building blocks, I'd say.
Yes.
They're the moments where, like, if you, I don't know, this can be a bold statement, but if you can't make it past those moments, there's going to be a lot that you're not going to be able to handle in this business. You know, like the downs are going to be there. There's going to be downs.
Yes.
Recently, a close friend of mine, a professional wrestler, didn't feel like they cut it in the ring in a recent matchup, and they confided in me in that little bit. And I felt it. It's like, man, you know, like, I understand, you know, it's going to happen though. There's going to be those moments where you feel like the absolute worst, but the best thing to do is wake up the next day and be the absolute best. You know, go out there and find that drive, because you have a really amazing drive in this business. You know, you like this comment said, you know, a student of the game. You know, I've never seen someone train as much as Erza. It's a fact. You're always posting videos on your Facebook or on your social medias of you training or trying new maneuvers. You're at almost every class whenever you can be. You know, sometimes people can't make certain things because of life. We all have one. Especially being on the independents, you can't. You have to make wrestling your life, but it can't be your life. It's a weird concept. I think really only found in few facets in the world. But yeah, you seem to have found a really good spot here in, you know, professional wrestling. gone through CWC, Primos, CSW. You've gone down to Arizona, I believe. You've been to Canada.
Yeah.
You've traveled internationally at this point. That's so crazy. What was the Canada trip like? Did you enjoy that?
They were awesome. I absolutely adored those experiences. I want to put like a little addition to my opening sequence as the international incident.
Yes, I like that.
Like causing a ruckus, even if it's a positive ruckus, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
it's a good one.
The opposite spectrum of a 9/11.
Yeah, it's like
chaotic
good, right? Not chaotic evil,
exactly.
Chaotic good.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I play D&D. I got my dice right here.
Chaotic goodness, you understand? Yes.
I'm good. Oh, yeah. I got the kid right now. I'm teaching them how to play Magic the Gathering. We got a whole table set up out there with a game that's like on pause right now because we're playing with the wife too. Tell me about the Canada trip and all about that. What was it like? What was it like being, I don't know if you've traveled internationally beforehand, but far as that was okay. So your first ever international trip, what was that like? Did you get poutine?
Yes, I got poutine
okay,
both times, and it's interesting how different the poutines are. I thought it was going to be more like a mashed potatoes where it's roughly the same taste and flavor everywhere, but no, they change things dramatically, and sometimes they don't even give you cheese curds. It was interesting.
I can't do cheese.
It's not real poutine,
right? That's what I'm saying.
I was traveling with the Pillars of Destiny, and it was like one of their only cheat meals for like 4 months, and it was this like subpar poutine, and I just felt so bad for them.
Hey, I mean, I bet you they loved it because it's better than the raw stinky chicken I heard about in the van. Yeah, I heard every time that Tupperware would open, y'all were like, "Oh no!"
When it was cooked, it smelled pretty good, but it's that same smell for a long time.
Yeah, that's what 17, 18, 19 hours trip.
Yeah,
I think, and y'all drove
like 20. Yeah, a trip so nice we did it twice.
I know, and that's really cool that you got to experience that twice. I think that there's going to be another one here coming up from what I hear about. I don't know if you're involved with that trip or not. Hopefully you are. What was the matches like up there? Do they have different? I mean, obviously it's a whole different world up there. They have different languages even. Did they have like any different calls for moves or anything that kind of threw you for a loop? You're like, what the hell's going on here?
They use the word gimmick a lot, and like even in their regular life, it's interesting how much they kind of just play it up. Pretty much always, they're always raring to go and in their character.
That's funny.
I love having I seem to always get to have an intergender singles match up there, and I really love that. I love working with talent that I would never get the opportunity to work with unless I was there. And both times it was super fun to be able to kind of like take a beating from guys and have an audience react accordingly. It was very affirming as a trans individual, but also as a wrestler, and to be able to have that sympathy gained just because I'm getting my ass kicked and people want to see them get their comeuppance. It seems like we're really telling the stories that were meant to be told. So even though I'm in a far off land, the same stories and morals and we're just telling the story of Star Wars, a simpler imagining of that in a pro wrestling match. It's good versus evil, and Canadians
unless it's ROH, then it's good versus good, right? Everyone, don't tell Joe Vernola because they're handshaking out there, and he hates sportsmanship. He'll tell you right now, one thing that they hate in pro wrestling is sportsmanship. Okay, and it's like I got that
Don't
thing
shake
you
the
sent me,
hand.
bro. I heard it. All right, I understand. I get it. It's nice to know that Canada was a good trip. You know, I've heard from different angles, and you know, it sounds like everyone had a good time up there, and everyone made it home safe. That's you know a
Indeed.
big thing. Do you plan or have any other bookings out of state anytime soon, or anything like that?
I almost got one in Wyoming. I was going to return out there, but we have a taco fest, and
Yes, we do.
I've heard so much about this taco fest. I'm so excited. So
It's
excited.
like the best time of the year. It's like Christmas in August. You know, last year was a blast. It was my first taco fest with Primos. Oh, yeah, no, because I missed the first one. But yeah, so it's my first taco fest with Primos. And gosh, what a time we get. You know, we since we're performing, you know, we get a little bit of extra. So you'll get tickets for tacos. That's always a blast. And there's always extra. By the end, Joe's like, who wants these tickets? I'm always like, me.
Tacos, yo.
If we set up in the same place we did last year, which was awesome, we're right by the river, which is great. So bring water shoes, bring water gear, all that stuff, you know, because we're at the Boulder River the whole time, you know. So I think we do 1 or 2 matches from like 12 to 1. And then from like 1 to 2 we have off, and then 2 to 3 is matches, and I think that's usually how the rundown is. It's a blast. You're gonna love it.
Yes.
There's I think last year they had free tequila tasting. They had and it was like unlimited. You just went over there and they were just handing out shots the whole day. I don't know if that's gonna be the same this year, but last year was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Are you gonna be performing at this year's taco fest?
Yes, indeed.
Nice. Who are you taking on?
I know not. I just said that I'm available all day.
Yes, let's go.
I'll help set up the ring, and I'll be there. These puppies are just raring to go.
Paws are waiting to scratch. I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be anybody at that point. You know, you can have someone like big old James Graham. You don't have to face him, or it could be that other person in the Prodigy. I am the Prodigy. I don't know who that is. Anyway, they could show up and fight you. Yeah, that'd be a good fight, I think. What are the plans here going forward for like CSW, CWC? Do you have any matches coming up for any local companies?
I sure hope so. Hope so. I have some with Hugo's Lucha.
Let's go.
Sunday. Yeah. I've been working with Itzel Estrada.
I've never been able to go up to Hugo's or like have the chance to like work alongside that show or even watch it. What is Hugo's like? You know, are they a little different than up here in Primos? I know we do more of a, I want to say hardcore style, but we're a little more edgy.
Yeah.
What's Hugo's like?
Chill. It seems like more they connect with the audience in a different kind of way, and it makes me really appreciate the culture behind Lucha Libre as a whole, because they're oftentimes really honorific in just ways that give the whole art such fanfare and like believability. I just love it. The last show I worked with them, there was this girl, like she's maybe 7 or 8, and she's got this mask. She's all dressed to the nines, and she is yelling at every one of those guys in there, like in Spanish, and making the whole crowd laugh every match. It was awesome. She's just so invested, and then they're going up to her and yelling at her, and oh my gosh, it's just, I love it. It's different.
Did you wrestle underneath a mask for Hugo?
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one. I know that. I mean, we've kind of broken the veil a little bit. You know, I don't think this is as hidden as Rey Mysterio, but I do believe it's Lady Legacy.
Yes, indeed.
Is the name? Yeah. Alongside Tyra Rusame, you are the current Primos World Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
What was that moment like in your early career, capturing some gold and, and finding that success, knowing because you're put in that spot, like you've earned it by all means, but someone is like, here, I want you to have this. This is yours now. What's that like knowing that you're being leaned on as an asset that's helped carrying the company?
It feels validating. I like the weight of it, like that responsibility. It's what I
mentally and physically.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Physically and metaphysically. It's really nice to feel like I have some pants that need held up with a big, strong champion's belt. Because I've got a lot of things going on, and it's nice to be able to feel like I have a hold of them, and it motivates me to keep going in a lot of ways, and that can be difficult in today's environment. That is to say.
Yeah, it's we have to tread lightly, I guess, today, which I mean, I think we always should have, things were pretty lenient for a long time. And I think people got away with things that they shouldn't have for a long time on all facets of life. Everyone did, we were all a little guilty of things that we probably shouldn't have ever done. But it's nice to, like you said, that validation of like, I made it, like I'm here, it's a similar feeling, that I get, running the production side of things, even though we had a failure last show. I do pretty good. And it's nice to know that I have a lot of people that rely on me, like you with Tyra and being pretty much a face of the Butcher Shop. I mean, you're in another successful tag team called the Butcherettes.
Indeed.
And you wouldn't have gotten that name without, putting in the effort. Joe wouldn't just let anybody represent that squad. I mean, even down to allowing you to do coaching for the kids classes, like you're an asset that's, relied on. What is that like? I mean, I'm a dad. I watch my boy do his thing with you in the ring, and y'all seem to have a good time. I've never trained or been a trainer. What's it like being a trainer for kids specifically, like the little ones?
Especially for the kids, it's really nice to see when things click for them. They're not even privy to it, like someone who might be able to be manipulative with it, because there's a lot of conflation that happens into adulthood, and the simplicity of being a kid. They just love pro wrestling, and that's the same love that I see in all of the adults. If they could kind of settle the miasma of the mind, because those kids, they really literally are the future. And I love to see that kids have as big of a world in pro wrestling to be exposed to. It was difficult for a long time, and I hear that from lots of veterans. Being able to actually get wrestling was very difficult. Finding VHSs of it, anything indie, it was almost impossible for the longest time. When some of the most popular, when it was at its most popular, we didn't have computers in everyone's hands to be able to record shows. Like,
it's crazy.
It's so available for kids now. I just hope that we are able to kind of rise to the occasion and adapt and evolve as an art form to be able to utilize and supply that demand.
It's and obviously, from our experience here in my home, Jackson's had a wonderful time at all the training sessions, and comes home happy, and he always really excited to tell me about all the new stuff he's learning. And then within that, he has made a lot of really good friends, within the pro wrestling. They're you, Crow, James, Joey, Tyra. I mean, pretty much the entire locker room. Let's be really honest.
Yeah.
He's very similar to the little girl that you'd mentioned, being in the front row, and everyone can use him as a plant. If you need to get some heat, you can go over to him and go, he'll do it back, or, whatever you need. And he's kind of found that spot. And I think he has the drive to continue this for life. We'll see what happens. I don't know. A lot's changing. We'll see what he does. It's nice to have solid leadership, within our locker room that kind of it trickles down to us, and then we spread that love outwards and downwards. And it's nice. It's like one of the first ever trickle downs that's actually worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Damn economy.
What do you have any social medias that everyone can find you at, or anything that
you could find me on Facebook, Erza Menagerie Tinker. Instagram, it's at Erza Tink. It won't let me make Erza Tinker because it says I already did, and I'm like, nani. I don't even want to call it X because I don't think anyone wants, but ye olde Twitter, of course, Erza Tinker. Yeah. Erza Tinker on everything from Facebook to Chatterbait. So, there's something there for anyone and everyone, all ages. It's kind of the fun about being an alternate reality game avatar. Because, you joked and said, pro wrestling is supposed to be your life, but it can't be your life. Yeah. Well, it is for this one.
You've definitely taken the reins of this wrestling thing and ran with it. The ball, I guess, is a better way to put it. Seem to be doing pretty okay for yourself within this, and very bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
So
it's thankfully I get to work with awesome people like you who also have a passion for this industry. So thank you for making everyone look so good, because you're also talented and a fucking superstar. So
thank you.
Yes. Sorry.
I try to be a warm, welcoming individual for everyone that comes to that locker room. I don't want anyone to walk in and feel the way that I did, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was when I started. And walking into a locker room, people are looking at you weird and sideways. And Primo's was a wonderful home for me. Once I found them, it let me become the person that I was. Because the individual that's sitting here now wasn't the individual that I was 3 years ago. Yeah. Which is weird to even say, it's. But when you have a crowd of individuals like we do that is so open and caring and willing to accept you for you, no matter who you are, where your background is, or where you come from, as long as hate isn't in your heart, I think that you'll find a place here in the Primo's locker room.
Agreed.
Really in Colorado. So I'd like to thank you, Erza, for coming on here and spending your time with me. We'll run this back here in I would say a year's time. Get some more matches underneath your belt, and maybe you have a different outlook on things. But before we go, we got a couple more comments. Someone said, did someone say tacos? Yes, we did say tacos this Saturday, Boulder, Colorado, at the Boulder River. You can see us in action live at Boulder Taco Fest. It's a wonderful time. Bring your butts, hang out with us. Huge crowds, up to 700 people out there just around the ring. Thousands eating tacos, doing their thing. And the wife made sure to say, bring a raincoat, because it's going to be fucking crazy up there. Last year it rained like insane. We were having to cover speakers and protect electronics, and it was great. So bring rain gear, or just be prepared to fucking be soaking wet.
I'm cool with that.
Right, I'm saying, I'm bringing water shoes. I'm just coming in swim trunks. It's gonna be an easy day for me. I love you. Thank you for coming on here and spending your time with me. We will run this back in a year's time. I appreciate you, homie.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
too. Thank y'all for being here with me. I'm rocking with Sweets. This has been the Sweet Spot on the Shady Sports Network. That was the EMT, Erza Menagerie Tinker. Go check them out on Facebook, Twitter, Chatterbait, all that, everything. Go find them. They're out there. They're in the universe. Be sure to check them out on any platform. I believe they have a YouTube or a Twitch that they do a lot of their matches on. You'll catch them live streaming. And check that shit out too. I love you guys. I'll leave you with a little bit of brand action. Have a good one. Peace.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers got. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.